Mike, let's turn our attention to official visitors this weekend. Offer us a recap of some of the things that went on.
Yep, 9 official visitors in total for Notre Dame. Darren, quickly, we'll just go through the committed guys, players who were already pledged to the Irish going into the weekend. A couple players from Charlotte, tight end Jack Larson and edge prospect Bryce Young. Young from Charlotte Christian, Larson from Charlotte Catholic. Micah Gilbert, a wide receiver, also from Charlotte Christian, a 4-star receiver. Another receiver, Isaiah Canyon, Warner Robins, Georgia. Big time note there, having Canyon on campus for his official. Some of those SEC powers have started, kind of sniffing around more ever since Canyon's kind of blown up and committed to Notre Dame. Canyon's visit went really well from what I'm told, so that's good news for Notre Dame. Aeneas Williams, the 4-star running back from Hannibal, Missouri, back in South Bend. I believe that was his 10th visit in total. And then CJ Carr, I think, has a parking spot at Notre Dame by this point. Competed at the Elite 11 finals midweek. I think finished up Friday afternoon, gets on a plane, headed out South Bend for his official visit. So Carr's been to campus 3 straight weekends. The first 2, of course, being for unofficial, and then this past weekend for his official visit. So CJ Carr having his recruiting hat on. So that's the 6 commits. Then quickly go through the uncommitted players. Now, Darren, going into Keyshawn Flowers' visit, the 3-star linebacker from Maryland, I didn't have high hopes. I didn't think that this was a recruit that Notre Dame would probably end up with. Now, with that being said, there are many players over the years that I've been covering Notre Dame where they visit and they just fall in love. Like Notre Dame is just this special place where if it connects with the young man, there's no telling what can happen. There can be a commitment take place. But I still just in talking to sources leading up to the visit, there wasn't a ton of buzz. And coming out of Keyshawn Flowers' visit, I'm not hearing that I think he's going to end up in the class. No predictions for him to go to Notre Dame by me or other reporters. So just, my guess would be at this point that Flowers ends up at Miami. Notre Dame has 2 linebacker commitments. We'll talk about another big target here in a second. And then they, Bradley Shaw from Alabama. It looks like Notre Dame's in really good position for him. At least a top competitor for that young man. So yeah, Flowers, we'll see where this goes from here, Darren. Great visit from what I'm told, really connected well. And he loved everything, but just feel like that, he'll probably end up elsewhere. Malcolm Ziegler, also his first time on campus. Notre Dame offered him in May, I believe. Visit went fantastic from what I'm told. Interesting rankings, Darren. 3-star by 24/7 ESPN and Rivals. You see On3 ranks him as a top 100 player nationally. Number 5 safety. You compare that to Rivals. That has him as the number 48 player at the position. Goes to show you how much these rankings can differ. Offers. Look, you'll have Nick Saban offer a kid, but then, Marcus Freeman won't, or vice versa. These things happen. These coaches have different opinions. Some coaches will swear by a young man's talents. The other coach just doesn't see it. It's the same with these rankings as well. On3, absolutely love Ziegler again as a top 100 player. Visiting North Carolina this weekend, so as good as his official visit went, I like Notre Dame here. It might be like a 51-49, kind of deal between Notre Dame and whether it goes to Notre Dame or, one of these Carolina schools. He's also like South Carolina. But safety board's in a really interesting spot, Darren. We'll kind of talk about that in a few moments. But yeah, this visit did go well, and Ziegler goes to North Carolina this weekend. Kingston Villiam-Wassa from Powerhouse St. John Bosco in Southern California, top 100 player per the 2024 On3 industry ranking, had a fantastic visit as well. I got to interview him on Monday afternoon, and he told me that his Notre Dame official visit, you can find this story at blueandgold.com. He said his official answered a lot of his questions. And I asked, hey, what was the biggest question that you got answered? He said, look, I want to learn more about my fit in the defense. And that's not to say that Notre Dame hadn't had discussions with him prior about his fit in the defense. Of course, that's something he's talked about with the staff, but it's a lot different. A phone call versus an in-person meeting where you're watching film together, you're sitting next to each other inside the Goog. So that was a big meeting. William Muasa thinks the world of Al Golden, his NFL pedigree, the relationship's strong. Darren, I'd argue that William Muasa is a top 3 or 4 target on the board for this entire class. I mean, you go back to the beginning for Notre Dame recruiting 2024. This is a player that the staff has badly wanted, up there with Justin Scott and Elijah Rushing, CJ Carr, Kane Williams. Like, this is a guy who Notre Dame has badly wanted all along. Top 3: Notre Dame, USC, Ohio State. Visited USC the weekend before Notre Dame, heads to Ohio State this weekend, and then he's looking to announce a commitment sometime around July, maybe August, but definitely before his senior season. Notre Dame sources really like the Irish here, but he's going to Ohio State this weekend. You talk to USC people think he's going to side with the Trojans. Ohio State people think he's going to end up a Buckeye. Notre Dame people think he's going to end up in South Bend. So I guess we'll just have to see. But again, Notre Dame sources feeling really good here. So that's the 9 official visitors, Darren. Give me Notre Dame to land William Muasa. I think Flowers ends up at Miami, and then Ziegler. It's a 50-50 call at this point. It's too close to call for me.
Mike, you take a look at Marcus Freeman's 24 class. The number of spots available are limited, but still there is opportunities to add some really, really high-end players. The safety depth chart, it looks like there could be still room to add another player in the 24 class. So Tabron Benny Powell, he is a safety in the 24 class. What do you know about him?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. You talked about kind of some of those like highly coveted ranked guys. It's not Tabron Benny Powell. I mean, he's ranked in the thousands, Darren. A 3-star across the board. So this is the quick rundown of the safety position. Kennedy Urlacher's committed, Brian Urlacher's son. Tay Johnson is announcing a commitment this Saturday. I would guess it's Notre Dame or Purdue. I like Notre Dame, so there's 2. And then there's Ziegler, who we just talked about. And there were so many safeties on the board. I had fans to ask me, Mike, what are we going to do when all 18 of our safety commitments want to commit at the same time? I'm like, hope you get to that situation. That was basically my answer. And I'm embellishing a little bit there. But the board has basically shrunk down to, again, outside of Tay Johnson and Kennedy Urlacher, Tabron Benny Powell, who the staff just offered Thursday after seeing him run really well in the camp, and they liked how he moved. Malcolm Ziegler, who we just talked about, and then Davis Andrews, the safety out of Utah, who's taking a Mormon mission trip after high school. So if he commits, he wouldn't count towards until the 2026 class after he would take a 2-year mission trip. So I like Notre Dame to land Benny Powell. He has a commitment set for Wednesday. I mean, you got to assume it's going to be Notre Dame. So the question then becomes, can Notre Dame take Malcolm Ziegler? Do they want to? Would they even get in a position where they can take him? So that's kind of the rundown of the safety board. And again, as far as Tabron Benny Powell goes, look, he's a Cincinnati kid, and Notre Dame, between Marcus Freeman, Chad Bowden, Mike Mickens, I'm sure there's others, have pretty strong ties in Cincinnati, and the head coach of Lakota West absolutely swears by this young man, Benny Powell. Here's the kind of the interesting thing of, I think a big part of why he's flown under the radar. He had, his high school had Ben Minnick, a Notre Dame safety signee, on it last year. And Malik Hartford, a 4-star, All-American Ohio State safety. So you have 2 of these, again, Notre Dame and Ohio State safeties. Where's Benny Powell going to play? So they kind of had him as like a rover, like that role that we're used to in Notre Dame's defense, played up on the line of scrimmage at times. And he had a pretty good junior season playing out of position. Again, he ran really well at Notre Dame, was told 4.59 40-yard dash, which is really good for, going in your senior year of high school. And it's a strong time for a safety at his size. So Notre Dame saw what they liked at camp, ran well, covered well. Again, the high school coach there, who Notre Dame's worked, or the Notre Dame staff from Cincinnati's worked with for a long time, swears by him. Other factors as well. He's a really bright kid. Visit went really well. So, and you look at the uncertainty of the safety board. I think this one made sense for Notre Dame's not going to get the fan base fired up. Probably a 3-star projection guy at this point. But we'll trust. It's up to you if you want to trust the evaluation or not. But Notre Dame's rolling with their own, and we'll see where it goes, Darren.